This episode of LedgerCast is brought to you by The Ocean. Trade fast and securely Ethereum and ERC20 tokens. Trade wallet to wallet with your peers on a high-performance, institutional-grade, decentralized platform. They offer better liquidity, lower fees, and less risks than the competition. Take control of your own custody of your tokens today and try The Ocean. Go to ledgerstatus.com/theocean for more. And thank you to The Ocean for being a LedgerStatus partner. Hello and welcome to LedgerCast. My name is Brian Krogsgaard, and today I have two of the co-founders of a project which I've been obsessed with for the past week or so. I've been beta testing Hxro. It's hxro.io if you want to check it out, or just go to ledgerstatus.com/Hxro and sign up to try to test the platform yourself. I've got Dan Gunsberg and I've got Rob Levy, two of the co-founders from Hxro. Hey guys.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to have you on. Like I said, I've been really loving testing the game. I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to test it and put it through its paces. I have to say this is a truly unique platform, and we will get into that. But it's at a baseline level, this is like trading crypto, but it's quite gamified. And you make it feel fun. Right now, it's mostly based on 5-minute candles. But for listeners that think that's insane, don't worry. There will be opportunities to play on dailies and weeklies and all sorts of stuff. So why don't we just start? And Dan, let's start with you. And just let me know, like, what do you envision is Hxro, and how did you get to this stage? You guys just launched a beta, I know, but how did you get here in the first place? Both of y'all have traditional finance backgrounds, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I've been involved in the legacy markets for, since I first got it down to the trading floor in 1994 as a clerk. And so I've been in the markets for, close to 24 years now.
So you're in the pit.
I was in the pit. And then I actually got to the screen pretty early. Like the Chicago Board of Trade had an intra-exchange platform called Project A that was pretty much like a game because there were so few people on it, and it was a closed network. But it was pretty exciting to be on. But it was still back in the days where you'd put a trade on, you get filled on something, you think you had an edge, and then like the guy that owned your clearing firm would call the clearing firm and find out who was on the other side of the trade. And if you were in the same house, he'd actually have it canceled. So,
wow. Have you ever seen the documentary Floored?
Oh yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Was that a pretty good representation of what it's like trading on a floor?
Yeah. I mean, I think Rob and I could probably spend a weekend over beers telling you endless amounts of stories.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that the excitement and the adrenaline down there is something that is hard to capture anywhere else. And one thing about Floored that was really interesting is they really magnified a lot of the people in the kind of their post trading careers. And when you wake up every morning for years and years and you go down to that floor and it's like the rush and the dopamine that is like flowing through your veins, like not in microdoses, but like it's just there constantly. And the banter is there, and like it's the camaraderie, and you kind of feel like you're all on a battlefield together. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. For people that don't know what this is, basically this is people trading commodities and other things on a floor together, like the traditional historical view you have of a market. Or if you've ever seen Trading Spaces at the end, what everything looks like.
Trading Places, yeah.
Yeah, Trading Places. Trading Spaces is some HGTV thing or something. But yeah, and everybody's screaming and yelling for positions, and the people in the pit are typically playing the spread and filling orders for brokerage houses, right?
That's right. I mean, Rob, give a little more of your background too on that, because Rob actually was a DPM on the CBO. I think you were down on the floor for many more years than I was. I actually went to the screens pretty early and kind of got out of the chaos. So.
Yeah, my background started on the floor of the CBOE, which
Okay.
is the Chicago Board Options Exchange. And that initially was an offshoot of the CBOT, the Chicago Board of Trade, and all of the seat holders at the Chicago Board of Trade and members also, when they spun off the CBOE, had seats at the CBOE and had ownership in that. The CBOE is an equities option exchange, meaning, all the stock options on IBM and Apple and all of that were traded at the CBOE. And the Board of Trade and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange were all of the interest rate products, the futures products, the S&P 500 futures.
Yeah, and a lot of listeners may know that Bitcoin's on both, but not really distinguish the difference in those platforms in terms of other products. But Bitcoin's one of those things where everybody wants to own it. So it seems like there's been a little bit of a horse race in the institutional landscape to figure out who's gonna play. But what's been interesting is like nobody's really beating the crypto first platforms right now. Like the volume's nowhere close to what you get on the derivatives exchanges on the crypto platforms themselves. So Rob, continue your story on that.
Yeah, I mean, basically what the floor traders do, and it really, back in the day, we called ourselves locals, and people called us locals because we were really locals, people from the area, and we were liquidity providers. You were a market maker who, we had a duty to make a two-sided market. And a two-sided market means that if a broker comes in and they ask, how are the IBM $100 calls, we had to make a two-sided market, meaning we had to give a price we were willing to buy those at if he needed to sell them, and we needed to give him a price that we would sell them at if he wanted to buy them. So we had to make a market that, was fair to where we would actually buy it if he said, I'll sell you 500, and we'd actually sell him if he said, I want to buy him. So, the game theory, everything starts there where you have to make a two-sided market. You might think, holy cow, IBM's about to take off. This thing's going crazy. I don't want to sell anything. Well, guess what? You have to make a market, so that means that you need to raise the prices of stuff. That means
and that can confuse people, but it goes back ages, because initially people bartered and traded with one another. And when you think of a market maker, the other type of person you could think of as a market maker is like a retailer, like a Walmart is a market maker between a consumer and the manufacturers of those products. And if you could imagine you take your stuff back to Walmart sometimes and sell them, then that's the other side of the trade. But essentially, you always have to have someone in between the trade, and your cut is essentially what's on top of that. And you have to be right more than wrong. And the hard part with an options market maker is if you get too heavy on the wrong side and you don't have someone on the other side to buy your oranges or whatever, then that's when you can get in trouble. And that's where the stress and the dopamine comes from, right?
Correct. And so therein lies the issue. You need to manage your inventory at any given time. If they come in and buy a lot of stuff from you, and all of a sudden you have this short-term risk on your hands, it might be 1 second, it might be 1 minute, it might be an hour where you're sitting there like, holy cow, I just sold 100 of these to this guy. I've got all this risk. What am I going to do? When is someone going to come in here and either sell those back to me or sell me something else that can kind of hedge my risk in this position? So then it comes into where you're managing your inventory of longs, of shorts, of longs in, April, shorts in May. And then you start to, a market maker ends up with this position of inventory because you can never know when someone's going to come back and buy or sell that exact same contract that they did before. So you end up with this book that you have to manage, and you got to piecemeal it all together and kind of figure out how to cover yourself before you go home for that night or for the first, hour of the trading day. And that's why the openings and closes tended to get nuttier, because not only does the public want to transact around the open and close? But then at the close of the day, the public needs to do stuff, but also there's a lot of local market makers that have been wearing a position either since the open of the day or throughout the day, that then they're like, oh, I need to get out of some of this stuff now. And then if the public wants to do the same stuff, you can get some real moves in the market.
And then there's the people that sit around and wait and take in data and then realize that everybody's stuck one way. And then they put their foot on the gas and get in front of that. Yeah. That's how you get, welcome to a flash crash.
And for anyone on the YouTube side of this, I just pulled up the 30-minute on the S&P 500, and you can see, even though it's almost entirely digital today, the action is still similar, where you get the volume at the beginning and at the end, and that's where your biggest plays are making. So everything in between is kind of just trend-based float, where there's not as much money being made, but it's more of setting up for the big moments. During this transition to a whole new world where all of a sudden you're not in the pit, or you're not, in that same type of environment, but the products basically work the same. How did you guys transition to where you are today, building a software product instead of, trading on a floor?
Sure. So, so I left the legacy world in the fall of 2017. I'd initially gotten into crypto in the fall of 2015. And then obviously in 2017, the tailwind to it was really growing. And the legacy markets volatility was so compressed. And so things were obviously very slow. There was a good tailwind going on in the crypto world. I was completely enthralled by it. I was starting to get a little bit more interested in the social side of it and the community side of it. And it just made sense to push full time. Rob ended up coming in full time in January. We ended up starting a small hedge fund called Gordian Block that we actually sat on our hands all through January, and then in February on that night, I think that was the Novogratz purchase down when we had wicked down to like 5,800 or something, and then we had a huge bounce, like up to like 7,000 or something like that.
Yeah, it was all basically in one day, but
yeah,
and that was when we went back all the way to I think 11.5, and gave everybody an option to exit, whether they chose to or not.
Train was leaving, so we got in right around when that, on that wick, and then had been trading around it. And Rob and I sitting there trading all day and managing the fund, we started talking a lot about when you get two guys that have had floor experience and just years of trading experience, just so many stories, and talked a lot about the rush and the dopamine that came with it, and being behind the screen, how that quieted out. And then being in crypto, we started to learn more and more about the gaming side of things. And we figured, God, this would be great if we could figure out how to put a gaming layer over the market in a way that that could really capture the rush, and kind of which is really elements of the game itself and the core loops in the games, but also the social aspect of it. Like standing in that pit, you're like nuts to butt with people, with other guys for hours on hours on end. And it's like being in a locker room, but if the locker room capacity was 100 and there was 200 people in it. So you get close quick, and it's so ridiculous sometimes that you just end up laughing. And when you think about the beta channel right now for Hxro, when things start to get moving, how on tilt that channel gets. And so, man, we're so excited that we feel like, at least from a product market fit perspective, we really kind of nailed it so far.
So Rob, were you involved in the gaming side of things in between, or for fun? I mean, how did y'all get to the gamification component of it? Are y'all poker players or something? Tons of people in crypto.
Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
No, go.
No, So Danny Johnson, who's one of our other co-founders, Danny was obviously a poker professional for multiple years before getting into crypto, and then for a little bit after. And I had actually met Danny back in I think October of 2017. We went to there was some breakfast where some guy was trying to get a bunch of people together to talk about cryptocurrency, and it's kind of all these like financial guys in suits and ties, and then Danny and I both got there a little bit late, and there was this kind of like dunce table in the corner, and he put the two of us at that table.
Nice.
And I didn't know him from Adam, and we started talking and hit it off, and then the three of us were talking, and then as Rob and I started to really formulate around what has become Hxro, we brought Danny in, and he added some nice components from like really understanding the gaming side, and then we ended up hiring the guys from Cloud Construct, who a couple of the core devs from the original DraftKings team, and added a couple of team members from the social gaming side, a couple from DFS, and the soup all came together well.
Yeah, I need to give a shout out myself, because I think I heard a little bit about Hxro, and I was kind of like, I don't know, that sounds a little weird, trying to gamify crypto prices. Do people really want to turn something like that into a game? It's strange. And when I started to take it more seriously, it was because of two people. One was Rick, who's working on your community team, is a good friend of mine, and I think he had gotten to know you and started to work on the community side of things. So shout out to Rick for creating this addiction of mine. And then also Jack, or Sicarius, as people know him by. He was on the podcast. We did a double header actually, and he's just someone I respect in terms of his analysis of crypto projects and his trading as well. So both of them were like, y'all need to check this out. So I hopped in a Telegram, and I was like, I don't know about the way y'all structure all this, and started to like offering my critiques to you, Dan. And what I was so pleased by was the way you responded, and that's what's really converted me on this whole thing, because I discovered your team, for one, is just, you got a lot of people with experience when we don't have a lot of that in crypto. Experience from traditional finance, and experience from the actual world that you're trying to play in, from a online gamification side of things. So I was really curious about this blend, and that's why I asked if I could participate on the beta side of things. So
no, you've been a champ, man. So happy to have you. And I remember that we got in that chat room to talk about it, and actually I think you left the chat.
I did. I totally. Yeah. Well, it was like Jack brought me in. It was for people that might be interested in the pre-sale component, because there was a utility token, and I was like, I'm not sure how hot I am on app tokens, and that's true today, because I think there's a lot of confusing components that isn't really worth bringing up in this chat. But I think the way that y'all have approached it is smart for what it's worth.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
But certainly at the time, I was like, but as I got to know y'all, I was like, I at least want to try out this platform, no matter my own opinions of the token economics and stuff. It seems like a real platform, and there's really not many teams in the cryptocurrency space that have a platform that you can even try. So you've got that going for you, for sure.
That was big for us to, we did a small seed raise when we first started the project, with the intention of kind of understanding that crypto was in a transition period, and 2017 was just, it's crazy. And knowing that we wanted to bring a little bit more of our experience in the real, in the legacy world. And we made a very concerted effort to lead with the product.
Yeah. You have
knowing
to.
Yes, absolutely. And if we knew that we had good product market fit, everything else would fall into place. So, it was worth stretching it up front right now, to kind of get to, the point where we're at right now. And now we feel really good about pushing hard and starting to add the layers that we need to really make this thing grow.
I'd like to take a break to say thank you to The Ocean. Go to ledgerstatus.com/theocean to learn more about what they do. They're working hard in 2019 to really expand their infrastructure and create an even better product. They offer fast and secure Ethereum and ERC20 token trading. You can also trade stablecoins like DAI. Trade wallet to wallet on a high-performance, institutional-grade, decentralized platform. You get great liquidity on The Ocean because they work with dedicated market-making partners. They also have really low fees and low risks. It's a great platform. It's a great team that's building this, and I think that you'll really like it. It's really great. Hope you'll try it. Go to ledgerstatus.com/theocean for more, and thank you to The Ocean for being a Ledger Status partner. Yeah. So, Dan, you and I have been talking about, trading futures curves in traditional markets, and I think I've spent a few hours talking to Rob about the structure of 5-minute candles. So we've dug into the weeds at this point, and it's been fun. So I'm glad to have y'all on. And with that, we need to dig into what this game is and how it works, because I think it's super fascinating the way this works. And if anybody has ever used any online gaming platform, it would probably feel familiar. And then if you understand the concept of binary options, where you're essentially picking win or lose, then it'll make sense to you as well. Rob and Dan, for your reference, I'm pulling up the game on my own computer, and I'm playing it live. So walk us through what we're seeing here when we come up on the homepage. And granted, we have a lot of audio listeners, but tell us the basics of the game structure, what people are choosing and doing.
Rob, go ahead, man.
Okay. Yeah. Just log in here real quick. Okay. So are you in the main 5-minute moon rect room?
Yep. I'm on the floor is what y'all call it. So for people listening, what you see here is it's literally 10, 15 cards or games. Each one of these cards represents a 5-minute candle. And the point of the game is to guess, is the next candle going to be up or down relative to the previous candle?
Correct. So right now we're looking at the live card in the middle, and we're seeing a countdown clock in the top right corner of the card. And right now it's 1 minute and 50 seconds. So that means there's 1 minute and 50 seconds left in this 5-minute period, which corresponds to the current, 5-minute candle on a chart. And we can see on the moon side, which is green, and for those of you not totally into crypto, moon is a common term for when something goes up in price, explodes, goes to the moon. And on the downside is the pink, and that is wrecked. And we all know from 2018 what wrecked means. That is when prices go lower. So basically, people are choosing in that 5-minute period if Bitcoin will be higher, which is moon, or get wrecked, go lower at the end of the 5-minute period. And you can see right now there's 662 Hxro token entries on moon, and there's 613 Hxro token entries on wrecked. So
this is a pretty balanced pot.
Yep.
This is pretty balanced. You can see that the payout on moon here is 1.81x, meaning if someone wins and it goes moon, if you put in 100 Hxro, you're going to get paid back 181. And on the rect side, the payout is 1.96x, which means that if you entered 100 Hxro on that side, you would get 196 credited to you if you win. And right now, it's coming down to the end, 2, 1,
Wrecked
0.
by a cent, see if I win.
Right.
It's confirming. This is always my scariest part. So this is partly what I've been talking to Rob so much about, because what they're doing here for people listening and watching is they pull in data from 3 different sources, and then they're capturing the last trade price from each of those. They blend them together, and they establish what the closing candle was and whether it went up or down. So I won that last one because it went wrecked, and it moves on to the next game. So someone playing has to put in their entry. You determine how much you want to bet relative to whether you think it's going up or down, and then you get that payout. So the next one, more people are on the wrecked side, meaning more people think it's going to go down, and therefore the payout is not as good for people who are betting that direction. So there is a huge psychological element in this game of going against sentiment or fading the sentiment in terms of being able to get a better payout. And if you're familiar with the way the options ecosystem works, this is like choosing an out of the money option that's against the trend. So if you saw Apple going up to $230 a share and you said, you know what, by next April, I think this is going to be $150, you're not going to have to pay very much for that option in the traditional market. But if you win, you get an enormous payout. This game is like that, but it's on a 5-minute basis. So I can watch this chart, and for anyone listening, this is the day that will be remembered for a little bit. Bitcoin's down 10% today. And there was this huge rush down, a couple of them. So the sentiment is probably going to be bearish. So the choice for the player of Moon Wrecked or these 5-minute cards is how do they want to play it. And you can play these one at a time, or I can go in, if people are watching, they can see I've got entries on a handful here where I'm essentially just letting it ride. So we've seen some big ones while we've been beta testing. There's been a few times where everybody kind of gets on at the same time and all of a sudden the pots build up. Can you all describe the way the pools work and how your payout mechanisms work and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. So you can see here in the upcoming game that starts in 2 minutes and 24 seconds, 23, that currently there's 5,900 tokens in the pool, meaning people have entered, Moon Erect with, now it just went up to 6,000. So you can see how many, nice. You can see how many tokens are already entered, but you can't see what side they're entered on. So this is where the strategy and theory comes in. You try to, pretty much, you're following the chart. You can get a feel for trend and how things are moving and where Bitcoin is on the chart. And you can kind of, based on the pool, a number that you feel comfortable entering in there. And then once the game actually goes live, there's like a 10, 15-second period of buildup where you get to see, it unveils how many are on each side.
So once the game starts is when you finally see what's the ratio going to be, and you are able to determine that you get, 1-to-1 odds or 4-to-1 odds, depending on how heavily it's weighted one side or the other.
And so that, it's funny because we didn't have that. The intention was not initially to have that little delay in there, but as we were testing in the beginning, the sweat that came out of that was epic, right? Like we developed so many, you guys developed so many terms, like getting ratioed, like that took on a whole new meaning suddenly, right?
Yeah.
And like the sweat, and like when something comes out, if it's going to be lopsided and there's going to be a ratio event, then like the gifts that start coming out and the shit talking is just like, it just adds to the emotional element of the game, which is something that, again, we're really trying to capture from the gaming layer.
And this is a fun one to be able to describe to our listening audience, because what we have here is Bitcoin went down 9%, and then it's just been creating, you could call it like a little bit of a dead cat bounce situation where you might expect it to continue to go lower. And here we've had 5 or 6 in a row, 5-minute candles that have gone down. But at the same time, it looks like it's going to go down more if you're just looking from a pure chart perspective. So you have to decide, do I want to go with this trend, or do I want to try to fade the trend and choose the upside? And then you compare it to what the heck did everybody else do? So I've been on the trend all day. This is a great one because I'm getting smoked. So I just got ratioed, which is what the description was. So I'm just going with the trend here. I actually set up a few before we got on the call, so I've been on Wrecked for a while. Now I'm going to start playing them and see if I can get past this. But what happened is the whole game just went bearish because everybody's seeing this potential down move coming, and very few people were on the moon side. And now those people are going to get paid 9 times their money if this actually becomes a green candle. The glory of a game on a 5-minute basis is that even when Bitcoin's down 10%, you're going to see a lot of green candles. So what can happen here is the psychology can just like do so many things. And yeah, I've been joking in the chat that I'm constantly trying to play 4D chess because like I think I think this is going down, but I think everybody else is going to bet it up trying to fade it. So I'm just going to stay down. And like, so you're like completely looping your bias. I don't know if y'all ever watched Friends, the old show back in the day, but there was this one where they were trying to find out if these people were actually dating. So another one of the friends hit on the same guy just to freak him out. And then they just took it to this massive conclusion where like she was coming on to him in their apartment and he like was dating her best friend, and they were just trying to play it out. And like the one guy in the middle knew everything, and he was like, both sides knew exactly what was happening, but it was all getting played wrong, and it was just a disaster.
I mean, that, if you think about like trading though, that's like some elements of trading. Sometimes you take trades not because the chart, not because of like the technical analysis you're seeing, or because of whatever other than the fact that the crowd might be so tilted.
Yeah, you're fading the sentiment. This happens all the time. What happens in this game is like what you see on, say, BitMEX, which has a funding mechanism, but it's on crack. Because what happens on a platform like BitMEX is you can be Ethereum's a classic one, right? People longed Ethereum the whole way down, and there were just constantly like 60% longs on Ethereum. So the people that were short Ethereum while Ethereum was going down were getting paid for the privilege of being short. So it inspired you to be short even when it got extreme and it seemed like a reasonable place for a bounce. The funding mechanism actually made it make sense to stay short and just play it out until it like forces you out. And there's all these things around that in funding with shorts and longs. Happens in the legacy market. There's put call ratios to find out how heavy the market is one direction or the other. Market makers, or whoever you want to say, the people in the market skies are, like they want to, they want to get people out of those positions. The point of markets is to take money from the few or money from the many and give it to the few. So in a game like this, you're constantly trying to figure out like, what the heck am I going to do next? And so now you've got a 5-minute candle with a 9x and on the moon side. So my estimation would be that you're about to have like everybody say like, oh man, I'm not going to watch 8 wrecks in a row and then miss out on the next 9x. So you say, I'm going to flip to moon or whatever. And that might be the choice. I'm not going to tell these guys what I'm doing and they can't see my screen. So the question is, I can
already tell it, like, because the smart move is to keep it small and to stay on the fade side from here. So
it just depends. So, whether you want to go with the trend or whether you want to try to call the reversal. And in addition,
I meant going with the trend because it's likely that everybody is going to play for a bounce now. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's been fun learning with this because it kind of depends on what's happening. One of my tricks, and if someone's watching this, they can see it on my TradingView screen right now. I don't think I've ever used the Stoke RSI so much as when playing this game, because as much as I don't find it terribly useful in real life, I actually think for a momentum-based game where the next candle matters, finding that those exhaustion signals through the Stoke has actually been pretty beneficial. So even though those moon boys are probably in the chat, when there's this beta chat with about 150 of us that have been testing this product, they're probably all freaking out about their 9x, and they may be disappointed here. or maybe they just were. It looks like the candle just ended.
Yeah, they missed, but now everyone's gone the other way now, though.
So they missed, and now I stuck with the trend on that. So I've got 222 Hxro, and I've got a 10x on my hands if the trend continues, and that might actually also take me beyond some important resistance here.
What's been your biggest payout so far?
My biggest multiplier was last night. I think it was last night was my biggest multiplier, and I had a lot on it. So Luke, Venture Coinist, he was Twitch streaming. So like basically everybody that's beta testing got on the platform at the same time. And these pots grow, and like sometimes your bet size will depend on it. When we're beta testing, sometimes there'll be just a few hundred Hxro on a pot, and then sometimes there'll be like 10 or 15,000. So if people are on the game, you can increase your bet size. And it gets lopsided too, because we had the privilege last night of Bitcoin was moving up really heavily. So I was actually in anticipation of going with that trend. I was basically on Moon all day, like all afternoon, and I was hitting a good number of those pots, and everybody kept trying to fade it because of what's been going on recently, where it's like you just keep fading it. Rect has worked really well. Yeah. And then basically at the height of Luke's thing, like Bitcoin had gone up a couple $100 or something, but on the 5-minute candles, it was so exaggerated, and there were these big candles, and I flipped and I put like 600 Hxro on it, and I got like a 12x or something. So it's like a 6,000 Hxro payout. And
were you in the room 2 nights ago when somebody went on and he dropped? The pots were smaller. It was like they're only like a couple thousand each. It was his first time. He showed up at like 2:00 in the morning. It was his first time.
The guy that got the 175.
He got 175.
Yeah. So there weren't a whole lot of people playing, and this dude just like totally drilled that pot.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Yeah, and he put in a 10 Hxro, and it just so happened that every other player at that moment was bared up and had wrecked, and so there were like 1,750 on wrecked, 10 on Moon, and he hit it, and it was insane. Man,
the channel when that thing gets big ratioed is the last like 30 seconds. Is it? I mean, Rob, doesn't it remind you of like the close of the pit, right? It's like peak dopamine rush. You cannot find it or capture it anywhere. It's so fucking.
That's really why we've been so just thrilled the past 10 days of, since launching beta is, we set out to kind of recreate this experience digitally in this game, and even socially. The trading pit was social. There were, Brian, I sent you a picture of me among 200 guys in the corn options pit. And I mean, there are people, you're around people all day long, and you have the stress of what you're doing, but you also have there's the nervous chatter, there's the banter, there's the, just the nonstop conversation. And back then it was, you can see people eye to eye, but now everybody does it through stickers, through GIFs, through pictures. We're all posting, and it's nonstop. So like our Telegram room, people just don't even understand, like, holy cow, this is what's going on. While we're playing, there's hundreds of messages going on. Everybody, it's like we're bringing that trading pit style and craziness to this game and to the room. And that has really, it's just exceeded our expectations in the recreation of what we thought we'd never see again on the trading floor in those pits.
Yeah, it's been super fun, and it looks like on this one I probably went one candle too late because the 5-minute is being a jerk to me now. And it's not making my fully divergent leg of a lower low. So I lost my 10x, and I'm heartbroken now because that would have put me over my key zone here with my total pot. And now that we started this next one, I'll let you guys know that I flipped Moon. So, and I've got a 2.9 on my hands, so I can make some money on this one.
Good.
Everybody went wrecked on that one. So this is what this game flow is like. It's like every 5 minutes, as long as you're playing, and especially when the pots get hot and Bitcoin starts trending, everybody starts going in there and trying to find out what the heck is, what the heck is going on. What's the situation? What's it look like? What should I do? And then of course, all of this is also just going nuts in the Telegram room. And
Yeah.
I've pulled that into the screen for people that are watching it on YouTube. I've missed something like 500 or 800 messages here just in the past few minutes, and it's a crazy fun and addicting game. But y'all have really taken something that's a pretty complicated concept in a binary option with this weighted payout, and you've turned it into a game, and it's been fun, but it's also interesting. And I think that what fascinates me is that this has potential beyond just being a game, and it can actually be an element of this market ecosystem. It can be an element of what trading is in this ecosystem. So how do you envision what's going to happen next? Like, are you going to next roll out like a daily candle game or a weekly candle? Because what I can envision is like, okay, I might be bullish on Bitcoin, but then all of a sudden a day like today comes, maybe I'll hedge myself on Hxro and I'll bet on the down daily or something like that. How are y'all envisioning this going forward?
We have big visions, and we've had kind of big visions from the start. One thing about the development of our game is that we have a roadmap. And the first thing, we set out to do was prove our concept. We had it in our heads. We knew, because we've done similar things, in our minds, we played it, but we needed to prove that concept out. And this beta, this first version, we feel extremely, extremely, pleased with how that turned out and the reactions. So basically, we are continuing to roll out features and build out from the foundation we have. So the next couple of games that you're going to see will be the 15-minute Bitcoin and then the hour Bitcoin game. So we'll give people, they've got the 5 minutes, like we're all really tuned in with, I feel like my finger is on the pulse of Bitcoin right now. I can feel it because I am so dialed into the 5-minute chart, the 1-minute chart, the 3-minute chart to try to, follow this game. And then we're going to zoom out a little bit. We'll bring in that 15-minute, which is a big time frame that day traders use and short-term scalpers. And then we're going to go with the hour, and, we'll bring those in, and then we work from there with other time frames and other coins.
It's important for us to concentrate the liquidity first, because obviously bigger pots are going to make things more exciting, and we want to really see what it looks like at bigger pots, kind of what the distribution of payouts look like, and it'll help drive our decisions. We're really trying to kind of always be in beta and always iterating and getting feedback. Like you guys have been so amazing, being forthright with the feedback that you're giving, not just about like bugs and whatnot, but really about the core loop elements of the game, and everything front to back. It's just been so helpful, and it's good to be surrounded by guys that really have a passion for this. So
yeah, there's been a lot of guys and girls in the chat. Some people too that you'll be surprised in, like Meltem's been in the chat just degenning with everyone else, and it's been fun.
Just put out a pretty epic tweet today about it too. It's fun.
Oh, did she? Nice.
Yeah.
So, once you get into these different gameplay type of things, I've been thinking of all sorts of cool ideas. Like, most of us that are doing this, by the way, the Hxro tokens, I think we started with what would at retail price would end up being like $100 worth of Hxro.
Yeah, that's right.
So the retail price is 5 cents a token or whatever, and we got 2,000 tokens to play around with, and we're all just in this massive like bragging contest to find out who can do the best. And it's amazing how much that plays into your desire to spend time on something. So it's not just the money component; it's truly the gaming component.
Yeah.
But as this moves forward, like I want to challenge Sugar, who's the guy that has been freaking crushing it. I've been trying to catch up to him after I took an early lead, and I want to challenge him to like a power hour challenge and just do like 1 hour, me and him head to head to see who can hit the most cards in a row. Like I can envision this world where there's a game where you can challenge someone and it pings them and it's like, do you accept this challenge at 10 p.m. Central Time or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, even another layer to that. Yeah, we're going to be integrating a Twitter bot to basically get those dramas pushed out to the crypto Twitter community.
That's
exactly.
awesome.
Ledger and Sugar Bear. Here we go.
Drama about it. Oh yeah,
it's on at 10 p.m. Get in there and check the troll box out, and this is going to be nutty. I mean, that's the one thing is this peer versus peer. Like in trading, it's just a huge world, and we all have the ideas of run by the machines and all this stuff, but like we're bringing the avatar, the face. We're bringing it right to you. So you want to play Sugar Bear in your hour-long power hour, like you're going to play him, and you're going to play him on an arena that is, it's there for you guys to play, and people can see it and watch, and like that to us is the beauty of it. It is it's letting people, just really battle it out, and it's the most. It's really so much fun to just be a part of that group and be sitting there. I mean, my wife laughs. I'm sitting there in bed with the chat up, just chuckling, literally just laughing out loud at 2 a.m. And she's like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Honey, don't worry. Like this guy is hysterical. I can't even control myself." So that's it. It's it's the community. It's where I wanna go and hang out. And also I want to watch Bitcoin and crypto and watch the prices and play.
Yeah.
So.
And if you compare this to something like fantasy football, or for a football fan or something, like you could set your weekly lineup or like your broader picture, what you think is going to happen in the crypto space. But then you can also just like sit in a room and do prop bets during the game. For different, I don't gamble football, but I know people do that. It's like it's almost halftime, and your question is like, is someone going to have a pick six in the second half, or is someone going to run back a punt, or like take all these prop bets, get odds on them. And what this does is similar. So like I might have a play on a weekly candle, I have spot positions, and at the same time, like I'm in some of these 5-minute games, or like wait till an altcoin's on here, and I'm like, I'm betting on a green hourly on Ripple or something. And there's just so much crazy stuff that I know you can do with this. And that's why I wanted to have y'all on, because this is not anything like, not just in crypto, but I've never seen a trading product like this. So I'm amazed by, what you're attempting here.
Oh, we appreciate that. And and just by way of, building out from just timeframes, as you mentioned, like being able to go on to and do the same thing on the pricing of Ripple or ETH. We're definitely going to roll out additional pricing from coins, and then on the gaming side, again, so much of this, even when I'm listening to you talk, it really is like the emotional reward that you're getting out of it, and the clout and the status, the competing for status, the achievement side of it. We are implementing a lot of leveling features and whatnot to the platform soon. And, the promising thing for us right now is, which was the test for beta, was this core loop and this 5-minute game, very stripped down and simple. And the fact that you guys are coming back, we had about 220 total beta testers, I think, that have signed up, and pretty much all of them, from the day they have gotten their login, have come back every day.
Wow.
And some of them are on for, the true degens, like some people I know.
Excuse me, I
are
just
on
was
for many, many hours.
I flipped at the last second on the one that just came up, and
Oh my God. Are you
pulling up an
kidding?
8X. So this is the example. I apologize for people that are listening. You can hear the excitement in our voices, but it allows you to flip your existing bet. So I was looking at the 1 minute chart and decided I wanted to play it down. I might lose it, but I don't care, because this goes back to the psychology of this. I have an 8X. So if I were to be on the moon side, I would be getting 10% on top of my money for a 1.1, but on this side, if it does happen to go wrecked, then I get a little over 8 times the initial amount of money. So I want to transition my questioning, which is, what do you see as your biggest challenges? Like whether it's jurisdictional or legal, or how does something like this work in the long term, or scale? Whatever some of the challenges that y'all have had to think through, and what you feel like are things that you want to pay attention to in 2019? Because I know a lot of people, if they're just from a traditional background, they trade traditional products, they might look at this and think, man, this is super weird. Is all this okay? Like, how did you think through those types of questions?
Lots of hours with our legal counsel, lots of research. And having it's a social game. It's a social skill game at the end of the day. So really focusing on having elements that give it a lot of game feature to it, and keeping that really in focus on the game is an important element to us. And then obviously from the jurisdiction standpoint, I don't want to get too much into the legal side of it. But it's something that's been well thought through, and
and there's going to be some way for anyone to play this game once it's live.
Correct. And
cool.
And every path has been thought through.
So how are you gonna do things from a scale point of view? Because unfortunately, as much as something like BitMEX, everybody says it's a great exchange, but then they have these scaling issues where, and these are very real, it's not even gamified, but people can't click their order, they can't close their order. Are y'all thinking about how are you going to handle scale? Because you're going to have 1,000 people on here at one time, or 10,000, or who knows how many people, and they're all like clicking at the same time, flip wrecked or flip to moon, or trying to take these actions that are engineering challenges, to say the least. So how are y'all going about that stuff?
So for us, it's definitely an engineering challenge, and we have talked about that quite a bit with our development team and our engineering team. The important thing for us is really bringing people on, not just opening the floodgates up and just letting everybody on at once, and then having I guess it would be a good problem to have if we had the same problem that some of users were having late last year.
Yeah, it's not the worst problem in the world to have to turn off signups because so many people want to be there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people want to play. It's important to us that as we transition through beta and then out to an open beta, that we're keeping it open, but measuring slowly how people get on it. Everybody can sign up, they can deposit tokens, they can receive tokens, but opening it to opening the game up over the next couple weeks, few weeks, months is going to be a measured process.
And what about from a I guess like investment perspective? Have y'all pitched this to people who have found it to be attractive? Like, do people, what are people that are looking and analyzing businesses in the cryptocurrency space? Like, what are they telling you when they see this game?
The one people think it's genius. They love it. They're a little skeptical, and one, because the market itself,
right.
if you would just look at headlines from the last 2 months, you would think crypto was dead. You would think Bitcoin is dead. You would just, that's what we read from Bloomberg. That's what we read from Forbes. It feels like the main media sources out there, and for good reason. A lot of them make their money from the legacy markets and big banks and all that. But a lot of people think crypto is dead or dying. So that's the one thing. It's like, holy cow, this is great, especially now that we have this beta product. Now people are like, we're getting calls like, holy cow, I see it now. I get what you were saying 2 months ago, 3 months ago. It's like, it is very clear to me now. And like, let's talk.
We didn't even, we were pretty focused on the product. I mean, we did that seed raise back in May, and really it was friends and family for the most part, with the idea that it would get us to a beta or post product state, which we've gotten to. But I think for Rob and I, it was really important to have a deliverable, and then to collect some data on it and use that and then from there making decisions about our capital needs and potentially who we would want to partner and how we'd want that relationship to look. So, obviously we've had good product market fit with this small group, and that's going to help drive the decision of who we're talking to and hopefully how we want to raise funding from there.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that's been interesting to me is like, it seems sometimes in crypto, the products that end up succeeding are the products that people thought were really strange or convoluted at first. And, blending the gaming side of things with the trading side of things, it was very strange to me at first. But as soon as I started playing, I was like, I look at these 5-minute charts all the freaking time. Now I get to like place a bet on them. Are you kidding me? Like, this is great. I can potentially be rewarded for making my eyeballs bleed every night staring at TradingView.
There you go. Yeah.
Count me in.
I'm sure that the data that you're deriving from it also, which is going to become a big part of our platform. We're setting up an offshoot called Hxro Labs. That's a data and analytics service, both for use for gameplay, but then our vision is that it really could benefit people who are trading crypto, outside of the platform. And a lot of that really was derived from, one of our advisors is this guy named Jonathan Bales, who we just refer to as the GOAT. But he's a top daily fantasy sports pro. And you actually should check out his blog. It's really fascinating. He's an amazing writer.
Yeah, I'll link it up in the show notes too for people listening.
For sure. And so he's going to be working with us to help develop that. He developed a product called Fantasy Labs that really is focused on DFS world, which had rapidly became a huge success.
Yeah, I think massive.
Mark Cuban and made a small investment. They sold it out to the same group that owns I think Barstool, and there's a lot of exciting stuff going on for him. But he's been really key with us on helping develop that, and it's going to be fun to work with him as our data becomes more robust.
Nice. Well, I've been having fun. One of the things that I think is just fascinating with this is on a 5-minute game. It's been, I don't know how long I've been doing this now, 5 or 6 days. And granted, it's a beta test, but actually, I think as more users get on, it'll just have more people on each side, so your liquidity can be better. But if you get a hot streak or something like that, you can really start to pile up because of the potential payouts. So I hit a milestone while we were here, and I hit 50,000 Hxro. So I've pulled a 25x on my beta tokens while testing it over the last few days. Granted, this is not a sustainable pace of either growth or time spent on a project. I've been qualifying this as work time because I was having you guys on the podcast and helping beta test. So I figured, my time is well spent here. But it's been fun. It's been addicting. I'm really pleased just to see a product that's innovative, and I wanted to be able to have you guys on. Oh no! Sorry. Excuse me. I just got flipped on the confirmation. But yeah, so this has been fun.
Oh, shit. Are you kidding me?
It went from up 4 to down 17 on the confirmation.
Oh my God. I didn't even see that.
So this has been fun. I may have to reanalyze my life now. I was doing dishes last night while there were some big moves in Bitcoin, and like every 4 minutes, I would stop doing dishes, dry my hands, place my bet, and then make my call in Telegram about which way I went, just for the clout purposes. So it's been ridiculous. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see where y'all go with this.
No, it's great to have you a part of it, man. You've been a tremendous help, and the feedback's been amazing. And
it really is. And I just knew you as Ledger Status on Twitter, the guy I've been following for, I don't even know, 2 years. And then, to kind of be with you in the troll box and the chat, and then kind of get to know you a little bit through there, and then having a conversation. It's like, that's one of the true beauties of it. It's that social gameplay where now, I feel like I've known you forever, because I've been following you on Twitter, but now like we're playing against one another. We're talking smack. We're looking at the market. We're, even going outside of that game. It just, that's the beauty of it to me. And I think that is going to open up just a lot of opportunities and a lot of windows for just the general public when they're on the platform and playing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how this goes. People are going to kill me if I don't ask. When can they get in? Do y'all have a timeline for opening up to a broader beta, or
we're working on? We have a couple of ads to make, just on some of the structural elements of the platform. But it's, I'm hoping within a number of days, and then we're gonna really start trying to open it up, because we want the rest of the world in with this crew and see where it goes. We're equally as excited about it. So
awesome.
Pretty close. Pretty soon.
People that are listening or watching, you can go directly to their website at hxro.io, hxro.io, or you can go to ledgerstatus.com/hero, and you might get a little bonus if you sign up through that link, or I will. I don't know which. Either way, I'd be curious if people hit that link just to see how many people are interested in this, because my gut tells me that this is going to be a hit, and that's why I wanted to have y'all on. I feel like you're talking to the, you're going to be the next Arthur Hayes, and you won't want to talk to me in a year. You're just too busy in your Lambos.
Never. God bless Arthur. He's done an amazing thing there.
Yeah, I'm always impressed by what people are building in this space, and getting to know people has been a lot of fun. So thanks for coming on, y'all. And I look forward to seeing what happens next. I'm sure we'll catch up in a few months and see how things stand.
Thanks, Ledger.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate it, bro.
I'll link up y'all's Twitters and stuff too, because y'all are good people to follow. So everybody check out the show notes to follow these guys. They've got experience, and they're building the product. That doesn't happen often in crypto. So that's why I want to have y'all on. All right.
Thanks a lot, man.
Catch y'all next time.
All right, dude.
Monuments crumble in the blink of an eye. The easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely breathe.